Listen to your favorite shows live and on demand 24/7. Download the 77 WABC mobile app now. In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, man. Better not be a war tonight. I got dinner plans. Actually, you know what? The time has come. Israel is poised to take out every single one of Iran's nuclear facilities, and it's probably about time. We know the Israelis can do it. They've done it before. Who remembers that bold mission? It was in the mid-1980s. They flew a bunch of their own F-16s all the way over to Iraq. Iraq was building some stuff, and we took them out. Israel did, and man, if they are so stupid as to mess with Israel again, Iran directly, they're chomping at the bit to do it. But Israel made it clear that if you guys do it, we're going to bomb your nuclear capability back into, well, it's going to take you maybe 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. You have to rebuild the whole damn infrastructure. I like that. I do not want Iran walking around with an atomic bomb. Do you? Nobody does. And they are, what do? They enriched the plutonium. They did all the stuff you have to do to the uranium. And it's like it's been an any day now thing for a long time. And what do you think they're going to do once they get that thing? Well, you realize it would only take maybe 2 or 3 nuclear weapons to destroy Israel forever. They could do it. Israel's a very small place, comparatively speaking. 3 hydrogen bombs or 1 thermonuclear device could eradicate Israel. They can't take the chance, and we can't take that chance either, because Israel is our dear friend and ally, and we support them. The Biden administration doesn't, and they're making it quite clear. Kamala's having a freak out right now behind the scenes. I know everything looks pretty cheery for her, but she is having a total freak out because they know that they can only keep the illusion that she's competent going for so long. And I am hearing, actually, they're deathly afraid of 2 things that could happen at any moment. More stories about Doug Emhoff, the Playboy first gentleman, second gentleman, whatever he is, the wife of the vice president. This guy is not an all-around nice guy, as the fake news has tried to portray. He is a serial womanizer and has left a trail behind him that's pretty icky, pretty gross. It's interesting how he's gotten all of a sudden so immersed in LGBTQ stuff. Doug Emhoff is the guy who married a Kamala Harris. And you got people wondering, is he gay or something? Because he's doing all this LGBTQ stuff. It's fine to do the LGBTQ, speeches and fundraisers if you want, but he's doing so much of it that people have kind of wondered, hey, not that there's anything wrong with it, all right, but we have wondered, hey, and I'm going to take it a step further. Sometimes, you see, if you, how do we put this? How do we put this without getting in too much trouble? If you go, all right, you can be a relentless heterosexual womanizer, and that's bad, right? I mean, relentless. Hell, you stray once, you could be in trouble, serious trouble. The days of JFK and having interns, orgies in the White House swimming pool, that's over. And that's appropriate, by the way, right? Heterosexual, and by the way, if you're heterosexual and maybe into some wild stuff, I mean, watch out. The thought police, the fake news, everybody wants to, especially if you're a conservative. You have a little bit of Democrat immunity, but the UK Daily Mail, and you can't resist a story that is that good. And they're thinking that there may be some really juicy stories out there that have yet to be told about Doug Emhoff. So if you are in the LGBTQ space, however, and if it became known that he was LGBTQ in his orientation, that gives him a hell of a lot more latitude. Okay. There's a lot more latitude for all kinds of behavior in LGBTQ than it is for heterosexual. If you don't believe me, believe me. It's true. It's true. And everybody knows it, by the way. I want to go to the rally that Trump had over the weekend. It was fantastic. And he broke out something that really kind of made me think. It really made me think. Laken Riley was the girl at the University of Georgia, assaulted, murdered by an illegal alien in the middle of the day. She goes for a jog at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this guy attacks her, beats her, rapes her, and kills her. And what did Trump say? This is all because of the Biden policies or lack of a border. And they have allowed it. They want it to happen. Listen to what he said at the rally. It's great. Cut 20, please. Cut 20.
Just a few months ago, right here in your state, I met with the devastated family, what a beautiful family, of Laken Riley, the brilliant 22-year-old nursing student, top of her class, who was out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia when she was assaulted, beaten, and horrifically killed. Her family was, look, they'll never be the same. Incredible family. Kamala Harris let in the savage monster who murdered Laken Riley. He was an illegal alien who was in Border Patrol custody, but under Harris's policies, instead of being deported immediately and fast, he was set free into America. Please enjoy your stay. Laken's blood is on Kamala Harris's hands, and she was in charge of the border. But there are many, many people like that. Laken is not the only one. Kamala is responsible for the death as though she was standing there watching it herself. She was responsible, and for so many more. 3 days after releasing Laken's killer into the United States, Harris went on television and lied to the American people, saying the border is secure. Quote, the border is secure. What kind of a politician lies to Americans about keeping the border open while precious young girls are being assaulted and killed? And Laken is one where the press was, very strong on it, but there are thousands of people that are being killed and being criminalized and victimized by these people that are pouring into our country. I call it migrant crime. We now have migrant crime in our country. It's a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's vicious, and it's really bad. Kamala Harris should not be asking for your vote. She should be begging Laken Riley's family for forgiveness, and Joe Biden never would mention her name.
Isn't that something? She has no business asking for your vote. She should be begging for forgiveness from Laken Riley. I love it. I love it. It is so true. It is necessary. No one else will say it. No one else could say it except for him and those who support him. But we don't control the media, do we? We don't control big media, dominant media, corporate media, right? And now that regular people are tuning into this election. You're not a regular person if you're listening. You're not a regular person if you engage conservative media. You are a high-functioning individual. Even if you're rolling around the house in your pajamas at 3 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon, you are a high-functioning person if you're engaging conservative media. And believe me, I have rolled around in my pajamas all day, in the middle of the day, in the middle of a work day, at times in my life. I still considered myself high functioning because I was well informed and I was thoughtful, and I refused to go along with the prevailing narrative because it was always fake. I learned from a very early age about fake news. As a matter of fact, Rudy Giuliani had something to do with it. I volunteered on the Rudy Giuliani campaign in 1989. And I was in college, and it was amazing. Just hanging around this campaign, I knew things, I heard things, I saw it firsthand, and then I'd go home and watch on TV or read in the paper how wrong literally everything was. Anybody who wrote about that campaign was wrong. Anything that was ever said about that campaign was wrong. So he lost that race, and then he became, let's see here. Oh, yeah. I knew what his plans were when he lost. He was going to run again. He was going to run again. And this guy named Jack Germond, who was considered a great reporter for his time, he's dead now, but he wrote for the Baltimore Sun, and he was on that group, the McLaughlin Group. Remember that show on Sunday mornings? And I used to watch that show basically religiously. And I thought these guys were the smartest, most articulate guys in the world, and man, they knew everything. And after the race is over, they're trying to make predictions. What's next for Rudy Giuliani? And they're going around the table there. And Jack Germán says, George Bush is going to give him some federal job as a thank you for doing this in New York City. It was an impossible race to run, so it's a thank you for a thankless job. He's going to give him some job in the federal government, make him something. And I'm like, number one, everything that guy just said was wrong. Everything that he said was wrong. Everything he just said was wrong. And it was fascinating to me. It was like an aha moment. Wow, these smart guys on TV are wrong. Yep, they are. And they remain wrong all the time. But here's the problem. Here's the immediate challenge. Now, regular people who don't pay attention to conservative media, who just walk around and, they're fine. They just go about their business and, it's election time. I guess we'll kind of tune in, see what's happening. And they could be fooled by the fake news into thinking Trump is a monster all over again. Oh, my gosh, did you hear? He just whatever the latest silly thing is. And our frustration should not be with Trump in these matters, although I do still think he could be doing a couple of things differently. I'll get back to that. But it doesn't mean he should change the way he speaks. And he goes to the National Association of Black Journalists and he wants to say something about Kamala Harris. Hey, what is the deal with her? It's okay. Regular people talk about these things. And I saw a bunch of regular guys, happen to be black, in the barbershop talking about, what is she anyway? Is she Indian? Is she black? It is a fair question. Trying to think of another example where somebody... Elizabeth Warren. They were like, why is Trump talking about that? Well, it turned out she was faking it, wasn't it? All right. So there are a lot of things to talk about in terms of the issues. Kamala Harris and the Biden administration, she's a key part of the Biden administration, basically destroying this country and destroying the world, or putting us in that direction, obliterating the border, putting sexualized content in schools for children, sexualizing children, dopey foreign wars, throwing out strength, peace through strength, weakness everywhere. The world is on fire, and she's responsible for all of this stuff. Instead, the media want to talk about Trump said something outrageous. Well, usually, again, it's not outrageous, and he's saying a lot more than just that. Like I just told you with the Lake and Riley thing. How do they get away from that? How do they explain it? They can't. They can't. Now, here is the controversial thing, allegedly controversial, but I think it's great that Trump is, he doesn't like Governor Kemp, and neither do I. Who's Governor Kemp? He's a Republican governor in Georgia. He's in Georgia. And why not talk about the guy? Why not talk about him? Cut 23.
But Kemp doesn't want to end it because he's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor. Little Brian Kemp.
Hey,
bad
stop. I think this is what he doesn't want to stop. The crime. Cut 22.
Under these kinds of woke radical left policies, Atlanta is like a killing field, and your governor ought to get off his ass and do something about it.
See? This is good. This is good. It needs to be said. And he goes into a little bit more detail. Cut 23.
But Kemp doesn't want to end it because he's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor. Little Brian Kemp. Bad guy. But think of it. I got this guy, just think, and then that's it. I got this guy nominated, I then got him elected. Without me, he doesn't get nominated and he doesn't get elected. He had no chance of winning either one, and all he had to do is sign something where the Senate would like to look at election integrity. This is an honest man. That's an honest man. They were all honest. They were looking at something very legitimate. And this bad guy said, I'm sorry, sir. I can't do it. I called him and I said, Brian, they're looking at election integrity. Is there anything you can do? I'm sorry, sir. I can't get involved in that. I said, but Brian, you don't understand. This is a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm sorry, sir. I can't get involved. I've had you up to here, Brian. I've had you up to here. He's a bad guy. And he's not doing this country a good service.
Yep, it's true. And it puts him on notice. And if you want further proof of what a bad guy he is, so everything's on the line right now. Everything is on the line, right? If Biden wins this election, what kind of signal is this from Brian Kemp earlier this year? He said it this year in 2024, after Trump had secured the nomination. Cut 24.
Speaking of the Georgia primary, who did you vote for?
In the Georgia primary, I didn't vote for anybody. I voted, but I didn't vote for anybody. The race was already over when the primary got here.
But you didn't vote for Donald Trump?
I didn't vote for anybody.
Why not?
Because the race was over with.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, I wanted to go vote. I always try to go vote and, play a part in it. But look, at that point, it didn't really matter. I've said for a long time, as you know, I'm going to support the ticket. That's what I'm doing now. And we have a lot of races on the ballot here in Georgia.
Stop.
Not just,
I'm going to support the ticket. You're not supporting the ticket. You publicly said you didn't vote for Trump. He is a bad guy. And it goes for his wife, too. Marty. I don't like that name for a woman, by the way. Marty. Sorry if you're named Marty. I feel like a woman's name is supposed to be a woman. I'll have that. But there's a lot more important stuff. And he talked about it all at the rally. It was an amazing rally. And I really hope we don't go to war today. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I went back to watch the Secret Service presser from Friday, even more deceptive and weird than I thought initially. Hey, the economy is in a tailspin on Wall Street. Steve Moore, one of Donald Trump's top economic advisors, joining us in a couple of minutes. Something is totally up with this guy, and he is deceiving, not illuminating, and it's totally weird. Let's see what we can go through here first. Taking responsibility, but at the same time deflecting responsibility. All of it. He's a shifty guy. His name is Ronald Rowe, and he's all about protecting the agency. You got to get rid of this guy. You can't have somebody like him evaluating the agency after he screwed up like this, because he wants the agency to come through, clean. But it's not clean. We all saw that. Cut 17.
I can say without a doubt that heroism was present that day. Secret Service agents rushed to the stage to shield the former president with their bodies within 3 seconds of bullets ringing out in an unflinching act of bravery. The Secret Service counter-sniper who neutralized the threat with a single shot undoubtedly saved countless lives. We're in a high operational tempo, and I need and I want our Secret Service workforce, the dedicated men and women of the Secret Service. I want to know and I want to make sure that they are uplifted so they can focus on carrying out the mission. They are worthy of trust and confidence, and they deserve your support.
Maybe. Uplifted. What do I care about their uplifted? There was just a colossal screw-up. You were part of that screw-up. You're still on the job. You will not remove anybody. You will not suspend anybody. You will not, even tell somebody, hey, take some time off while we figure this out. After a cop shoots somebody, what do? You're on desk duty. It's automatic, just for a little while. And if you're a pilot in a plane crash, you're not flying the next day. Think about it.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, the market's all down today. Donald Trump calls it the Kamala crash. I love it. He's on to something. What do you want? Trump cash versus Kamala crash. He said this would happen, and it's happening. The whole world seems to be on edge about Kamala, war overseas, and let's bring in the expert, Stephen Moore, very close to President Trump, the economist who advises Trump constantly on economic issues. You can also hear him right here on WABC. More Money, Saturdays 1 to 3. Great show. Stephen Moore, how you doing?
So good to be with you and appreciate the opportunity to come on my favorite radio station, WABC. So, look, I think Trump was onto something. We put this in our hotline this morning that it's the Kamala crash. And it's not entirely, but I do think, if you look at what's happened the last week or two, it's pretty clear that, Kamala has made she's erased a 10-point deficit. Now it's basically a tied race. And I think people on Wall Street and businesses are just freaking out over that. I mean, Kamala is a disaster when it comes to our economy, in terms of she wants to raise taxes, she wants to double the capital gains tax, she wants to tax unrealized gains, she wants to regulate everything from the internet to financial services to what kind of car you can buy. I think she's a total economic disaster, and I think that's one of the reasons Wall Street is freaking out.
And the whole world is watching this. This fall, I think I heard somewhere it's actually started in Japan. Japan was watching everything, and they started selling or buying or whatever they do. It took a deep. Is that how it started?
Well, I think it started with the jobs report that came out on Friday, which was a total disaster, and that showed that the economy is really slowing down, and Wall Street panicked. And then this weekend, my God, Japan just crashed. I mean, the Nikkei index is down more than it's been in 20 years. So this is spreading like a virus because, the U.S. economy is obviously the financial leader of the world. And when we sneeze, the rest of the country catches pneumonia. I mean, the rest of the world catches pneumonia. The other thing that's going on here, I think, is, we've got this national debt that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I said on your show and so many others on WABC and on Fox News that, there's going to be a financial crisis if we don't fix this, if we don't stop spending money we don't have. And I always said, I don't know if it's going to happen in 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years, but it's going to happen. And again, I don't want to panic people right now because I've lived through a lot of, times when we have corrections on the stock market, and sometimes the market bounces back. So some may look at this as a buying opportunity, for some of these technology stocks that are so down. And I can't advise you on that. I don't know if this is just a blip or whether this is the beginning of a serious sell-off.
Wow. Well, what does it mean for Donald Trump's chances? I mean, it's interesting. The race tightens and the market goes down. She shows, so this is a reaction to that. But what do you think it does for Donald Trump and right now, politically?
Well, look, I never root against the American economy or the stock market, and I'm in the stock market. I don't want to lose money. You don't want to lose money. Nobody listening to the show wants to lose money. So I'd love to see a recovery as quickly as possible. But, the fact is this economy is fundamentally unsturdy right now. Don't you agree? I mean, we're running $2 trillion deficits. We don't have we're regulating everything that moves under Biden-Harris. Kamala Harris just gave a presentation the other day saying, I agree with everything Biden's done on the economy. Well, that hasn't worked out so well for the American people.
Yeah. But remember, she said at a rally, hey, you got something to say it to my face. I mean, she thinks that these cute little slogans and moments can get her through this thing. And given that the fake news is fake and stupid and corrupt, she just might. I'm a little bit worried, Steve.
I know. I've never, I'm with you on this. I've been in this business for 40 years. I got started in 1984, doing financial markets and politics. And I've never seen anything like this. This love affair of the media, they're treating her as if she's, Mother Teresa. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it? You've been in the reporter a long time. I mean, the media is not unbiased here. They've fallen in love with this woman. And I don't know. I find her cackling kind of creepy. I don't know about you.
Oh, she's very unlikable. And I think something happened, though, fundamentally. Two things. 2003, the New York Times basically gave justification for the Iraq war by reporting erroneously that there were weapons of mass destruction. They feel guilt over that. They went liberal after that. And then 2016 was really okay, and not just for the New York Times, but for everybody. We will never report substantively negative information about a Democrat unless we absolutely have to, like if it's Menendez and he's been, convicted.
That they had to finally admit, because they look, the New York Times and the rest of the national media lied to us for 4 years about Joe Biden's mental condition. They knew throughout this year that Joe Biden was not, and I'm not saying this to disparage the man. I mean, we all get older and our mind deteriorates. I don't have the energy that I did, or even the mental acuity I did 25 years ago. Although Trump is a sort of an exception to that. I mean, Trump seems ageless. But my point is, they lied to us. You know that. They told us, oh, this guy could run for president, and they didn't dump it. They didn't trash him until they realized, oh, he can't win. Now we got to find somebody else. I mean, that is duplicitous.
It really is, and there's been no kind of like accounting for it. I mean, okay, they lied, they got caught, they swapped out the running mates, or they swapped out the nominee, and it's like business as usual. Nobody even talks about the coup except Donald Trump, and it was a coup.
I do. I mean, I do all the time because I think it's so unjust. These are the people who say we're the danger of democracy. What the hell are they talking about? These are the people who are trying to, the guy who won the election fair and square. I mean, the primaries, he had 13 million voters. Nobody voted for Kamala Harris, as far as I know. And yet they just shamelessly dumped him over the side of the vote without asking a single voter. I mean, this is the most undemocratic thing I have ever seen in my whole life.
It is amazing. It really is. And again, no scrutiny from the media. Just now it's all, oh, who's she going to pick for vice president? Wait, what about, how is it that she gets to pick? It's insane. And
well, by the way, I don't think she is going to pick. I think the Democratic machine that picked her is the same machine that's going to, these people are shameless. They really are. They will do anything to win. I really don't think Kamala's in charge of her own campaign. By the way, have you noticed there's all these statements by Kamala, that the press people have put out for the campaign. Oh, Kamala's changed her position on this. She's changed. I haven't heard her say that directly. Have you?
Yeah, I haven't heard her say much other than those cute little, oh, hey, oh, Beyonce, oh, baby, my friend, all this girl talk. It's stupid. All right. So look, final, as we got to let you go, but two things. Yeah. What do we do as a, if you're retired or you're, yeah, especially if you're retired or about to retire, what should you be doing right now? Sitting tight, I guess, right?
I'm not a great stock picker, so let me say that. Although I did buy NVIDIA at the beginning of last year, and I made a lot of money on that. But look, my advice to people is do not panic. Don't sell in the down market. That's the mistake a lot of people make. And I don't know if the market's going to continue to fall. It may, but it's going to bounce back, especially if, Trump is elected. We're going to see the bull market like you've never seen. So my advice to people, and you can take this, it's probably worth about a quarter, but my advice is don't sell in the down market.
All right. Well, we love it. Thank you very much, Stephen Moore. We'll need you in the White House.
Next Saturday, we're going to have a great show. We'll be talking all about this, 1 to 3 p.m., the More Money Show, and my buddy John Katzimatidis is giving me 2 hours on Saturday afternoon. And we're live, by the way. We're like one of the only shows on the weekend where you're not listening to boring infomercials. So anyway,
WABC is jam-packed with live content.
Unbelievable.
Live content on the radio, including More Money. Great name for a show, by the way. Stephen Moore, More Money. I get it. Thank you, Steve.
See ya anytime.
You bet. Take it easy. That's funny about Kamala too. She really is. Can we say it? I think she's the bird brain, not Nikki Haley. I mean, listen to this. Cut 21, please. Cut 21.
Well, Donald. I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Yeah, the crowd goes crazy. Don't they realize that Donald Trump doesn't have any problem saying things to people's faces? All right, that's what be careful what you wish for, Kamala. Hey, you got the one where she went into a record store and bought all those albums? I mean, like every black artist she could find, because questions have been raised about her, how she identifies. I mean, I've seen the tape. She does seem to, for most of her political career, she's talking about Indian American. I've seen her. Yeah. It's a thing. I respect both. Why doesn't she pick one? What about biracial? No, she doesn't really, actually. Listen to this.
What'd you get? So
Record store.
Okay. So, first of all, Charlie Mingus, really one of the greatest jazz performers ever. One of my favorite albums of all time. Roy Ayers, Everybody Loves Sunshine. You know this one? It's so good. It's a classic. And then Porgy and Bess, right? And this is a beautiful one. It's Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. So there you go.
All right. Those are all of her favorite albums, but she went into a record store and bought them again. And they're all black artists. If this is, when was this yesterday, as I think it was? It can't be 5 years ago. And who has, well, some people do, the vinyl thing. Vinyl. I really like vinyl. Hey, she does have a pretty talented team around her. I am hearing that David Plouffe, who ran Obama's 2008 campaign. It's funny, you can be just a guy who runs campaigns. And it's not a huge universe of people. And you don't actually spend a lot of time. First you run a city council campaign, and then you run a congressional campaign, and then you run some guy running for the Senate. And presto changeo, you're at the presidential level. You're at the presidential level. This guy, David Plouffe, I think he's 49 years old. He just got $10 million, we think, to run Kamala Harris's campaign for 3 months. The people who ran Jeb Bush's losing campaign, because they've got this crazy formula, the more money you spend on ads, the more money they get paid. The people running the campaign, it seems like, I don't know, a conflict of interest. Let's just buy all these TV commercials and we'll make a lot of money. I think that's problematic. But anyway, some guys around Jeb Bush made $100 million for themselves. In politics? Whatever happened to the public service component of all this? I thought it was supposed to be public service. I should do this. Just again, he's not wrong, Trump, when he goes after the Kemps of Georgia, because what the hell is the wife of Brian Kemp going on television and saying crap like this in an election year? I mean, I understand Governor Kemp, you live in a governor's mansion. Ooh, isn't that nice? For you. The rest of us don't have a mansion, and we don't have state troopers following us around all the time. Marty Kemp is her name. And she really had to go on television recently and say this. Not helpful. Cut 25.
Georgia is considered a model for the nation in the fight against human trafficking. First Lady Marty Kemp is credited with helping lead the way with the governor signing 8 anti-human trafficking bills into law, and a 9th one is expected to be signed into law later this month. Channel 2's Karen Greer sat down with the First Lady to talk about why it is so important to help the victims and also go after the traffickers. She also talked about the upcoming presidential election and who she may vote for in November.
We're coming up on an election. You feel comfortable voting for President Trump?
We've got a long way going. I would probably write Brian Kemp's name in. He'd make a darn good president, in my opinion. We've got a lot that'll happen between it. 6 to 8 months is a lifetime in politics.
So what do you think is going to happen in the next 6 to 8 months there, Marty? He's going to be shot again? Actually, she said this before he was shot. I mean, you really wonder. He's the de facto nominee, and she says, well, we'll just see what happens. What's going to happen? He's got to get more votes than the other guy. At the time, it was Joe Biden. What kind of game are they playing down there in Georgia? Man, the devil really went down to Georgia, and he stayed. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just saw a video of somebody in Britain being arrested by the cops for something they posted on Facebook. Unless you make a direct threat, I am going to kill so-and-so. That's the only thing I could see possibly being questioned over. Hey, what the hell's Philippe Petit doing in the news? Is he dead? What happened to him? Is Philippe Petit okay? I love that guy. Oh, he's just doing a feature on the news. Okay, good. He's still up there he's the one who, walked across the World Trade Center span in 1974. I remember that so well. Wait a second. They're acting like he's dead. Is he dead? It better not be. Oh, man. Hold on. Hold the wire. No. He's alive! Fantastic. Robert F. Kennedy is still weird, by the way. Did you hear his story about that bear? It's crazy. I'll get to it in a moment. Matt, yes, you're in New Jersey. What's up?
What's up, Craig? Kamala, she opened up a big mouth saying if Donald Trump has anything to say it to my face. And I think President Trump should answer her by saying, we know you're two-faced, so which face should I say it to?
Oh, that's a good line, Matt. Thank you. Tony, what's up?
Hi, Greg. So I've been thinking about truth, for the topic of our upcoming election. And the Bible, for me, is all about getting the truth out. And I love that President Trump spoke the truth about Kamala Harris and her border and what the price was, that death was because of her border policy. And so the Bible tells us, just to bring it home, that we should, know the truth, and the truth will set us free. And I'm so glad that President Trump has been speaking more truth and connecting the truth so that all America could know the truth of the sort of evil and lawlessness that's around us. I think what happened to him was an eye-opener, and I just pray for his protection and that he will continue to speak the truth about the lawlessness that really is, that's just surrounding every inch of our government. And that's all I have to say today.
That's he is speaking the truth. No sign he's going to let up on that at all. Thank you. It is so amazing what happened to him. Oh my God, how did it happen? And this corrupt Secret Service. This guy is bad news. Glenn, hello.
Yeah, how you doing? CNN should be brought before Congress to see why they decided to broadcast the Trump attempted assassination for the first time. This is the first time they ever aired Trump. Remember they were there for Roger Stone when he got arrested?
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Did you, is that true? You're sure that they were taking the rally live and I know they've taken some rallies before, certainly in 2016. You're saying that they had not done that, since when?
They've never done it.
No, no, Glenn, that's not true. They have taken rallies live before. It may be for the first time this cycle, and that would be interesting and a little bit suspicious, too.
Why were they there for Roger Stone when he got arrested?
Yeah, I know, we've been through that. I know. They got tipped off. I mean, CNN would have cameras there. It's not unusual that they would be there, right? I mean, every network is there, whether they take it or not. That's the other thing. I'm going to look into this, Glenn, if that's the first one. And I don't even know if it was live on CNN. You got to go hunting for these rallies. Was it live on CNN? I've never heard. How do you know it was live on CNN?
I'm looking it up on the computer.
Well, I know, but what does the computer specifically tell you?
Live broadcast Trump attempted assassination rally for the first time.
Yeah, I know.
When was their policy?
How do you? Is it on CNN? It's on CNN. What are you looking at?
I don't watch CNN.
Well, I know, but you see, all right, you're calling the radio station and you don't have your facts straight, all right? We got to verify. I got to verify. It's okay. It's a very interesting story if it turns out to be the case. Was CNN broadcasting that rally for the first time in a long time? And if they were, why? Why that rally? Also, counter-sniper teams were present for that rally for the first time of this election season. The first time.